Thank you and welcome to the Atlantic Council. I'm Fred Kemp, President and CEO. First of all, I want to thank Shuja Nawaz and his South Asia Center for organizing this extremely important session in the aftermath of the election cycle in Afghanistan. And it's especially important as the situation in Afghanistan becomes increasingly perilous, and there are also still questions about what happens next in the electoral process. But it's a particular pleasure for me to introduce the speaker. And I'm not really sure which of your guys is to introduce you in, Ashraf, but certainly you were a candidate in the presidential elections in Afghanistan. Some people would say you ran an unsuccessful campaign. I would say it was a successful campaign, but you didn't win. You're one of the most capable public servants anywhere on the planet. You happen to be Afghan, which gives us a unique chance for you to reflect from two perspectives, because you're one of the few people who so intimately knows what really is going on the ground in Afghanistan. What are the forces really at work? But then you carry the additional burden of knowing how Washington works. And there are very few people who are who have those two skills. So it's quite an honor for us to have you here. You're intellectually honest, you're conceptually brilliant, and you come here in many guises, but one of them is a keen analyst of the current situation. You would have come here before the election as a dual passport holding American and Afghan, but one of the sacrifices you made to run for office was to give up your U.S. citizenship. So I'm horrified to hear that you're here on a single entry U.S.-Afghan passport, or your single entry visa. So the Atlantic Council will go to work on that, but we certainly have to rectify that. The current war in Afghanistan is the longest in American history. Oh, I must add to that as well that you were a dark horse candidate for UN Secretary General, and this gets to the point that you're an actor who is respected around the world, and you've dealt with situations far beyond your own region, but also you have profound knowledge of the regional connections. The current war in Afghanistan is the longest in American history. That's a sentence one shouldn't forget. A fragmented and divisive debate is occurring in Washington, D.C. as the administration ponders on the way forward. Some might use the word agonizes rather than ponders. Regional complexities, the attack of the Indian embassy in Kabul, the siege at the Army headquarters in Pakistan have only raised the level of risk for key stakeholders. In addition, the United Nations has cited a significant level of fraud in the recent election, and that poses major obstacles going forward as the international community thinks over its options in re-engaging with whatever Afghan government might emerge. With this in mind, we're delighted to welcome Ashraf, Dr. Ghani, to the Atlantic Council to share his assessment. I would like to thank the Institute for State Effectiveness, Ashraf's Institute, and the South Asia Center for helping arrange this event at the Council. The South Asia Center launched early this year and is one of the fastest success stories that the Atlantic Council can point to. It has already made quite a mark in town under its director, Shuja Nawaz. It's serving as an important form of dialogue between the decision makers in South Asia, the United States, and Europe. We are committed, as Shuja is, to waging peace on the subcontinent. The South Asia Center has hosted the opinion leaders, key officials, and ambassadors from the subcontinent over the past few months. It also interacts with many of our other programs because the issues of Afghanistan, Pakistan also get to our NATO work and our international security work. We had Secretary General Rasmussen here at the Atlantic Council who focused on Afghanistan in his first major address in the United States in his new job. Senator Lugar on the same day spoke to the issue as well. This is yet another opportunity for the Council to initiate constructive debate on this. So, Ashraf, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to host you, and we look forward to your remarks.
Fred, thank you for that very generous introduction. It's always a pleasure to be here and to be among friends. Legitimacy is in serious distress in Afghanistan, so therefore it needs rescuing. I'm going to make 5 sets of remarks. First, this is not a pessimistic view. There's an opportunity for focused thinking. 2, the costs of a fragmented U.S. approach have become clear, and now there's a call for clear thinking. 3, General McChrystal's plan is truly strategic, but limited to security. 4th, getting politics right matters. And 5th, we need a plan of action to rescue legitimacy. So first, the election process heightened the crisis of legitimacy. No one is going to call this election fair or legitimate. The United Nations dropped the ball, and a group of Afghans deliberately stole the election. The international community was told in very clear terms, both by Afghan civil society and by actors, as to what was going to happen and at what scale, and they ignored it. Lessons to be learned in the future is that the United Nations cannot be entrusted to conduct free and fair elections. There's need to be a different way of doing this. Second, there is now consensus on the strengths of the insurgency both in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Until mere 8 months ago, we could have been in denial regarding the strength of the insurgency and could have gotten ourselves to think, oh, that's a passing phenomenon. Now, with the news that you've had this morning and all this week, the issue regarding the nature of the threat that is posed is crystal clear and cannot be ignored. 3, it's very interesting that Saudi Arabia is for the first time publicly offering an anti-Al-Qaeda alliance. Prince Turki's article, op-ed, is a very significant marker in this regard. And fourthly, governance is critical both to legitimacy and security. The issue of governance in Afghanistan was ignored for 5 years continuously by Washington, by NATO, and by the rest of our allies.